Welcome back to the Catapult Effect podcast. I am your host, Katie Wrigley, and I am so excited to bring today's guest to you because she does very similar work to what I do, but she also adds in an intuitive approach that I cannot wait to dig into. So her name is Hailey Coleman, and she's also known as the psychic nervous system coach. She helps overwhelmed, high achieving women and adults move from stress, anxiety, and emotional chaos into clarity, calm, and self trust by blending nervous system regulation with intuitive psychic insight. Welcome to the Catapult Effect podcast. I'm Katie Wrigley, neuroscience coach and entrepreneur. This podcast is for high-performing leaders who look capable on the outside, but know the pressure of carrying too much alone. Each week, we explore the internal and external systems that create real ease, from nervous system regulation to delegation and smarter support. If you're ready to build in a way that feels steady and sustainable, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Catapult Effect podcast, Hailey. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you. I'm excited to dive into this today.
Me too. So I actually want to start with, how did your own experience with trauma start to shape your understanding of the nervous system, stress recovery, intuitive clarity, and how did that really start to help formulate the work you're doing now?
So about years ago, my kids were little, and I was in a emotionally abusive relationship. My partner at the time was a narcissist and pathological liar and chronically cheated. And it threw my nervous system into I was just done. I had three little kids, and being a busy mom and working and stuff, and then having all the extra stuff coming at me emotionally, and it just threw my nervous system off to the point where I've never had anxiety. I was blessed to never have that growing up. But all of a sudden I started having panic attacks, everyday full body panic attacks. And I wanted to figure that out. Why didn't I notice the signs and symptoms before that happened? Why wasn't I in tune enough with my body to listen to my body and my mind before the panic attacks started, right? Why? So all of a sudden my body was just like, nope, alarm system, everything. And it took me, I think I was breastfeeding my youngest, and my other two were near me, and I super calm, all of a sudden full body panic attack. And my girls started singing me the lullaby that I sing them at bedtime to calm them down. And that was the moment I was like, I need to figure this out. I need to figure out my body, my mind, my soul, and understand, why did I not recognize the signs and symptoms before I got to this point? And so, yeah, I started diving into holistic stuff. I got my nationally certified breathwork coach. I got certified in cognitive behavioral therapy, addictions, and learning the science as well as the intuitive piece, and paired that together and healed myself, and then turned it into a business.
Amazing. Amazing. I want to dive more into that. And I'm curious. And if you don't want to answer, you can totally be like, too personal. But what did you find? What was the why behind how your body had gotten to that point where you started to have the panic attacks?
I just wasn't listening to myself. I wasn't setting boundaries. I wasn't taking care of my mind and my body at the time. And I was almost just allowing my partner for me to be their punching bag emotionally. So looking back, I never allowed myself to just set boundaries and say it's not okay, and switch up the environment. And that was the biggest thing for me, because the environment was what was causing my nervous system to scream.
Yep. Yeah. And you have a really fantastic post on Instagram about the importance of changing environment and how impactful that is to healing. But I just want to commend you on what you took from that moment, Hailey, because not everybody has that awareness. But what you're talking about can be so common where suddenly the relationship we're in, we notice a level of toxicity. And it's almost like the boiling frog analogy, right? Like
Yeah.
people don't start out emotionally abusing us. If they did, we probably, most of us would not be that open to it out of the gate. It happens really slowly over time. And so we don't tend to notice it until we get to a point where it's uncomfortable in the body, like what you mentioned with
Mm.
panic attacks, or it may be something that's coming out in physical pain. That was how it manifested with me. And no boundaries was a big part of it.
Yeah.
But I just want to bring to light, even though you went through a horrific experience, it is sadly really common, but not
Mm.
everybody has that awareness or that ability to pull it back in. So if you are the person listening right now that you're starting to have anxiety for the first time, keep listening because we're going to continue to dive into this and the importance of that mind body connection as well.
It was just, it came to a point where my body was screaming. And when I help my clients from around the world, the biggest thing is like, well, are you willing to change your environment?
Mm,
Are you willing to change the people in your environment, the physical environment itself? Like, what are you willing to do to start healing? And that's a huge question. And not a lot of people are able to take the risk. So then we take it a step back. Well, what can we do right now to try to get you grounded enough energetically, emotionally, so that you can make those decisions when you're feeling a bit more empowered or confident or courageous, whatever it may be, right?
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And the environment, there was a guest that I had interviewed really early on, and she's literally the only person that I'd heard of that said, "Oh, you don't have to change your environment to heal." But she changed everything inside of her.
Yeah.
And part of what she wasn't including in the environment, and I remember this from a conversation, was she wasn't including the people. So in that is a big component. And I know a lot of people who've been on a healing journey that sometimes it feels really lonely because as we're healing, the people that we were with before we were healed may or may not be on their own journeys. And there's a chance that they may drift further apart from us as we continue to heal more because it gets to a point where energetically you just aren't in alignment if
Hmm.
you made this massive transformation like what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's a really good point because when I say environment, I don't mean the home you're in. Like maybe there's a lot of trauma and triggers in the home you're in. It could be a work environment. It
Mm-hmm.
could, and it 100% is a people environment, whether it's friends, family, whatever, partners. Um, you know, having certain energies around us really can trigger us. And once we start working internally, healing ourselves, it's almost like, I don't know if you've noticed this, but my clients and I kind of joke about it all the time because it's like once we start healing, the people who are not working on themselves stand out in the crowd so much that even when they like open their mouth and just start talking, it's like, okay, I know
Yep.
who I'm talking to. And I
You
don't
do.
mean that in a rude way. It's just like so obvious when someone's not started working on
Right.
themselves.
And it's awareness. And so what you're talking about is increasing that capacity for awareness, for space, for margin, which is part of what happens as you're regulating the nervous system. You get more space and you don't even realize that you were out of space until you get more and you're like, oh wow, I have so much more to handle this. And you do see like, and it's at a point now where I'm like, nope, that person's not ready. I'm
Yeah.
going to send them lots of love and light. They are not ready. And that's okay. Like
Yeah.
you need to be ready to do this work. As you know, it's not for the faint of heart. Like it may be a simple process, but it's not easy to
It's
face the
not
things that are
easy.
disruptive. It's really not.
When you start like even just like focusing on one trigger that bothers you, like you're gonna dig up some big shadow work. And
Oh,
that's where it
yeah.
comes in, where it's like, do you have the support, whether it be a coach, a therapist, or whoever, to help you guide you through those shadows? Because once you open it up, like absolutely it's scary and you're going to feel a lot of things, and you're going to notice right away the people in your life if you're even able to bring up that topic of healing with them,
Hmm.
because their response will immediately show you if they are capable to have the capacity to support you.
Yes, I want to have you dive deeper into that. Like, what are some of the indicators someone can look for to say, is this person at a place where they have the skills to have this conversation with me? Because that's really important. When we can get to that place where we can have those really vulnerable conversations, when you are talking to someone who also has that capacity, it can be a really positive, amazing, powerful experience. But when you're talking to someone who doesn't have that skill set yet, it can be really negative and further disrupting to the system. So, what are the things people can kind of listen for there? If you can think of any examples, Hailey.
I'm going to give an example of my current partner. So, my current partner, at first, if I brought up stuff, they would project or disengage. Sometimes they would kind of give a bit back, like kind of challenge it, or deflect or
Mhm.
avoid. All those things are like, well, you caused me to have this reaction, and so I'm trying to talk to you about it,
Yeah.
because you might not be aware that you caused me, and that's cool, it's okay, but I'm feeling a certain way and you caused that, so let's chat about it. Yeah, and at first it was deflection and projection and gaslighting and all these things. Fast forward a month later, when I'm like, okay, these things are happening, but you're saying you're trying. So now they're taking notes. Now they're like, I using the words that I use, and I use words like, I hear you, I see you, I feel you, like validation words. And it
Mhm.
was kind of cute because now they were like, I hear you, Hailey. And I was like, oh, okay, okay. And they were like, I took notes. And I was like, okay, like, but it's just a matter of the difference, where it's like the like frustrated deflection, the like, yeah, avoidance, versus, okay, I can take it in now. I can take in the words that you're saying to me for what I caused you to feel, and I'm taking notes now, and I hear you, Hailey. And I was like, it's like night and day, right? So you'll have someone, whoever you're sharing it with, if they are validating or trying to understand and actively listening and not getting mad that you're calling them out, that's one of your people. Stick
Yes.
with those people,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Thank you for that. And even if the person can't respond in that moment, just to add on to what you're saying and let me know if you disagree. Like, 'cause I'm one of those that needs a moment to process sometimes with
Yes.
big things. It's like, I hear you and I need a moment to process this. Can I get back to you later? Like,
Yeah.
and I'm still even saying, like, I hear you. And I make sure that I say that, because if you're like, I can't deal with this right now, I need space, like the person, you're going to wind up re-triggering them again.
Hmm.
But just that I hear you. And if you can just give me space to process this, that would be awesome. I'm going to circle back later when I've had a chance to.
But
And
that's validating, right? Like,
yeah,
you're not saying, no, this is bullshit, like I didn't do that. You're saying, okay, thank you for bringing that to my attention. Can we talk about this in a day or two?
yeah,
That's still validating, because we might not be ready in the moment, but that's still validating that person when they're coming to us, right? Or vice versa. So, yeah, absolutely.
yeah. Awesome. And so I want to actually talk about, like, what is happening when going back to the whole awareness thing, like what's happening in the nervous system when someone's living with chronic stress or they're in constant survival mode. Because if we look at the stats out there right now, and I keep blanking on the name of this doctor, but she was on the Mel Robbins podcast, and I even talk about her in my upcoming book, and I got her name. I just can't remember. But she was stating that 70% of Americans are in a state of fight or flight this right now,
Yep.
which says 70% of us are in chronic stress. So what's happening to the nervous system when people are running that chronic stress pattern, Hailey?
There's so many things that could happen. And I talk about this with my clients. Like, every body and mind are unique. So,
Mhm.
for you, you said it was physical symptoms.
Mhm.
For me, it was panic attacks. Some of my clients are sleepless nights, or I'm constantly having heart palpitations, or my stomach's been off for months. That's a huge indicator. Gut health,
Mhm.
like if you're not aware, that all of our emotions are built in our gut. So if you're having gut health issues, like that's a first sign of anything. If you're before you even get the anxiety up in your brain, you're gonna feel it in your gut if you're aware and in tune with your body. So that's I feel like that's kind of like a loaded question because everyone's so different, but you need to really like take a step back and think, have I felt different being around this person? Have I felt different being in this job? Or did I feel different like being put in that situation? And like just reflecting and be like, oh, you know what? Like I like to do the body check. So, you know what? Yeah, my I was a bit sweaty, or my hands were a bit clammy, or yeah, my stomach kind of started to turn a bit, or my heart did race a bit, or I felt kind of off, like disassociated. Like do a body check.
Mhm.
If you felt any of those teeny little symptoms, like something's trying to tell you something.
Yep.
And maybe it was whatever that person said, or the topic, or the situation that you were involved in. Like it could be anything, right? So it's like finding out what your norm is and then being like, wait a sec. Actually, I'm going to pause that. Some people's norm is fight or flight.
Yes.
So even like reflecting back, when was I my happiest self? Was it 10 years ago? Cool. How did you feel 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Do you like compared to now, you have that heavy chest, lump in your throat, you're constantly on edge, you're yelling at your kids all the time, like you're just like rage, maybe you have rage now, who knows? But what was your best self? And then compare it to now.
Oh, I love that. That's a great way to help people start to tune in and pay attention to that. And that's the more you start to learn the process that Haley's talking about here, the easier it's going to be because as you know, Haley, life continues to happen. And like I'm going through another layer right now where a whole other layer of deeper healing, like this is the deepest healing I've done to date and was not ready to do this level of healing until it came up.
Yeah, sometimes it's just like, here you go.
Yeah, yeah, it's like, oh, all right. Well, this is the thing now, but I'm very willing to heal it. And
Yeah.
like it's something I tell my clients a lot is and remind myself too is the brain isn't going to give you more than you can handle. You may not like
Mhm.
it. It may not be enjoyable to face it, but your brain is not going to bring in information that you aren't ready to process yet. And I noticed like, and I know that I'm in it and I'm doing extra self care. Like, I immediately start going to my toolbox and I up the amount that I'm
Mhm.
using those tools to get myself back regulated again. And so even as I'm processing this, and this is really the first time that I've been able to get my nervous system back into a regulated state while I'm still processing. Usually, like if it's another layer like that, I'll get dysregulated for like
Mhm.
a couple of weeks. But this time I had like a little bit more of a struggle of sleeping for like 2 or 3 nights and then back to normal again. And I'm still got a lot to process, but I'm like, oh wow, this stuff really works the more you keep layering it on. Like I know it works because I've been doing this for years, but
Well, it's like muscle memory. The
yeah,
more you practice the tools and tricks and strategies, like when you're forced to be like heavy into it, it's
yes,
like, okay, I'm gonna go back to like day one of like when I wanted to learn my breath work, but like your body knows it, so now it's gonna be 10 times better for you. And
yep.
I always tell my clients, learn the tools when you're calm so that
Mm,
when you're heightened, you can imply them because you
yes.
can't learn stuff when you're heightened. Your
Yep.
brain just doesn't allow it. So,
100%. Yes. I love that advice. Thank you for adding that. That's a million percent. So the other thing, like when someone's in chronic stress and they're learning this awareness and they're learning how to check in with the body. When was I the happiest? When did that start to get derailed? How did it feel? And bringing those memories back in. When these things are going on, like it blocks intuition, it blocks clarity, it makes us indecisive. It hits memory a lot of times too. Like we
Yes.
can't even
Yes.
keep track. Like, what was I just saying? What was I just thinking? All of that gets trapped and we lose our ability to do that really executive reasoning. So how do we start to open those channels back up again, Hailey, when we're having a hard time with focus, with clarity, with intuition?
The biggest thing that I tell myself as well as my clients is every single day when you feel like maybe your kids are just driving you nuts, or work, your boss just gave you another thing to do and you're like, ah, like one more thing, right? You're just like feeling overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
The easiest thing I tell my clients to do is like go to the bathroom. And the reason I say the bathroom, I know it sounds weird, but because you're not going to think about anything else. You're not going to look at the dishes. You're not going to look at your pile of work at your desk. You're going to go to the bathroom. You're going to close your eyes. And I always say, put one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. And I want you to do deep breaths and feel your heart rate and feel your breath. And do that for 2 to 3 minutes with your eyes closed. And it is so simple and so powerful that you will recenter yourself. And if you have to do that 20 times that day, awesome. Maybe tomorrow you do it twice or none. But like having that one thing that you can be like, I feel like shit. I'm not myself. I'm going to go to the bathroom, even turn the lights off in the bathroom. I don't care. Just close your eyes, hand on your heart, hand on your belly, and just do your deep breathing. It naturally recenters you. And I say eyes closed because then your brain can't register anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Do not look around the room. Close your eyes and focus. And being able to do that will allow you to at least give you that hour afterwards, or even half hour, 45 minutes after that, where you can like resettle, rethink, regroup, and that gets you through that chronic stress that day. And it's just so simple. And obviously you and I teach our clients deeper tools and regulation techniques, but that's something that like anyone can do in the moment. Just go to the washroom and close your eyes.
I love that. I love that. And I'm curious because I'm thinking of a part of the population that I've worked with, namely first responders, and I've heard a doctor refer
Oh,
to this as like special forces syndrome, where they actually feel less safe, less relaxed as they close their eyes. So
okay.
yeah. So what? And I'm kind of thinking, how you could help someone along that line. But what would you suggest to that person that like may feel so anxious or so wound up in that moment that closing their eyes feels even scarier?
Yeah. The other technique you can use is having a hyper focus on an object, one
Beautiful.
object. So yeah, if you're one of those where like it sets off your system to close your eyes, pick something, like literally anything, that bar of soap in
Yep.
the bathroom or that light switch, wherever, like literally anything, hyper focus on that so that your brain can't scan the room or wherever you are, right?
Yep. Yes, I love that. Thank you. I just wanted to give an alternative because I've actually
Yeah.
seen that. And even not necessarily just in first responders, but if someone has had a lot of abuse in the past where nighttime wasn't safe or sleep wasn't
Yep.
a safe state for them, closing the eyes can increase panic.
Yes.
And we did some brain scans. I don't remember what type they were. They weren't like the spec scans, but we actually did some brain scans with some first responders, and we noticed like both of the people we worked with, when they closed their eyes, stress shot up.
That's fascinating.
Thanks for being here on the Catapult Effect podcast. If today's episode supported you, share it with another leader who's ready to create more ease in how they build, and leave a review so more heart-led leaders can find these conversations. You don't have to do everything yourself. When the right systems are in place, inside and out, business gets lighter. Until next time, protect your capacity.